You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler, this is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back after our week off, our week hiatus.
Oh, yeah, I actually forgot we took a week hiatus until just now. Yeah, we just got busy with other things, but we kind of got back on the poker play. I mean, you just played tonight, and I played tonight, so we were kind of back on the poker grind a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I even played earlier in the week, too.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. Actually, lately I was killing you in hours, but lately, I guess this last couple of weeks, you've decided to kind of one-up me.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess let me kind of paint you the picture of this session that I have here.
Is this the one you just played, I assume, right?
Yes, I've already forgot about the one from earlier in the week.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured.
No, but so I go and I'm playing 1-3 no limit at 101 Katy, so there's no hold'em. Well, so first they make a new table, because when I showed up I was 5th on the list. I was like, well, that's not great at all.
Yeah, that was kind of like what was it, like Ben Deach, like 4th on the list. It's just like no man's land, or like 3rd or something, because it's not enough to make a new table. But so yeah.
Well, I was lucky that the list filled up to like 8 after like not even 10 minutes of me being there.
Oh, that's always nice.
Right, so the new table opens up, and the whole, I don't want to say the big draw, but definitely a draw of 101 Katy is there's no PLO bomb pots, or there's no PLO at all, there's no bomb pots, correct?
Yeah, that is a big draw.
So we sit down, and then someone's starting to ask if we can do a $5 bomb pot. And I'm thinking this is going to get shot down immediately, right, by the dealers or whatever, but he's also wearing a 101 Katy hat.
Well, okay, now I've been looking at Poker Atlas, and I've been seeing more and more of the, like, bomb pot. Like, it'll have, like, +1 bomb pot or something like that. So I think 101 Katy might be getting I mean, I know you hate to hear this because it's the one place you really don't have to play them, but I think they're starting to... I think they want to keep one table as just hold'em all the time, but I think they are starting to integrate it more and more.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way, but no one at the table luckily wanted to play. Someone told them that it just takes too much time.
Oh, that's great for you. Okay, very nice.
Oh, I told them no as well, but well, and then no one really said anything, but when they went to put the money out, it was only 2 people, so I was like, wow, definitely not watching a heads-up pot.
Yeah.
So we're playing, and I'm pretty card dead, but I'm playing pretty tight. And then I get pocket 4s, and I get it in the small blind, this hand.
Okay.
The whole table limps around. I was like, well, I'm just going to complete here.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think these small pocket pairs are just a really good, like, kind of complete over limp and stuff like that. I think if they play well as that.
So, I complete big button, the big blind. He checks it, and then I just see the 4 right in the window.
Oh, that's always nice.
But it's a super draw-heavy board. It's like 4-8 jack with 2 diamonds.
But, I mean, you kind of need this a little bit, especially in a limp pot, if you're going to get money into this pot, right? I mean, you need somebody to be able to have something.
Oh, boy, I think I might not have played this one as well as I could have, I think. But I check it, being in the small blind. It checks all the way around to the button. The button then overbets the pot and bets 20.
Okay, so...
Are you raising here?
100% if I check. Because I was thinking I would lead out sometimes, but I think if you check, I think it's definitely time to check raise this. I mean, so, like, it's a limp pot, correct?
Correct.
So we know jacks don't exist. We know eights don't... We know a set of jacks don't exist. We know a set of eights don't exist. There are like 9, 10 off could be limping. A lot of like flush draws could be limping. I definitely think this is a check raise.
Yeah, which I do.
Okay.
I make it 75.
Okay, that's a I think I would have gone 60, but I think probably 75 actually might be better.
I don't want to say this is a problem, but the thing is, this is my first. I mean, when I tell you I was playing tight, I mean I was literally just playing chess on my phone and just sitting there. Haven't really even been making it, like haven't even been open raising, just been card dead, right?
Okay.
So I make it 75, and everyone folds, goes back to the guy who bet 20, and he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "That's the biggest bet of the new table so far." He's like, "No one's even bet this much." He's like, "Well, he folds. He just folded, right?" I was like, "Not the worst case scenario."
I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, because here's my thing: is if you're going to play somewhat balanced, I mean, if someone's gonna do this on your set of fours, they're also gonna do it on your draws when you flop a draw here. So I mean, like, them like calling or making that move. Eventually it's gonna be at the wrong time because let's say half the time you got a set here, and half the time you have even more. You probably have a draw more than you have a set here.
Definitely, way more combinations of draws.
So I mean, this folds probably better in the long run if you are playing fairly balanced. So I mean, I don't mind this.
Well, so then he folds. I was like, whatever. Cool. It's always cool to flop a set.
Yeah.
The very next hand, now I'm on the button, and I'm not straddling because, like I said, the game just started. And it's so weird to me when people straddle in a game where like the average stack is 250.
I always think that is just so weird. I mean, like, I don't think people like understand the whole reasoning behind the strat. I mean, they just do it because they see everybody else doing it, and I mean, there's no kind of reasoning behind it. Because I used to fight this at a College Station or whatever when people would want to straddle, and like, I'm like, well, there's 3 stacks here that are $100. I mean, like, there's no reason to.
Yeah, so I'm not straddling this hand.
Okay.
I get pocket fours again. I'm like, this is pretty sweet.
That's pretty nice, yeah.
So somebody makes it, I think it was either 15 or 18, something kind of weird. The way that our table was kind of less standard size betting kind of thing. Some guy was loving making it $7 and $6 at some point. So it might have been like 18.
Okay.
There's like 3 calls, and I call.
I like this. This is exactly how.
I flop another 4 again.
Back-to-back hands?
The exact back-to-back hands.
I mean, that is kind of crazy. I mean, back-to-back sets with these same exact cards. That's pretty insane. Okay, super nice. So, and here's even better is you're on the button now, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, checks around to the guy who was just on the button. He makes it 20 again. But this time the pot's way bigger, right? Because it was 18 pre-flop with 3 or 4 callers.
Okay, gotcha.
So I raised 75 again, just like I did the last hand.
Wait, so he, what was the flop again?
It was super dry. It was like 4 jack, like 3 or 5 rainbow, complete rainbow, or 4-6 jack. There you go, 4-6 jack.
Did you ever think of calling here?
I thought about it, but I also like the comic relief of playing the exact same hand, the exact same way versus the exact same player. I thought it was funny.
Okay. That does come into it a little bit. Okay, I gotcha. I can see like that. That obviously comes into your mindset here when you choose to raise here instead of call.
He calls this time though.
Okay.
And I'm not that deep really. I kind of have about a pot size left, maybe just over pot size bet left.
Well, see, that's kind of the reason I was thinking the call is like, well, I mean, you can get the money in anyways, and I'm always worried that I'm a little transparent on non-draw heavy boards when I raise because I'm like, well, what the hell am I raising with? If it's for value, if there's not enough bluffs. But okay, so you raise, he does call.
He does call.
Okay,
which is kind of suspicious to me because it's very dry board. The turn is a complete brick.
Okay.
Like an 8 or 9, something like that.
Okay.
He checks. I bet 100, I believe it was. Might have went all in. It's weird when you have the exact same hand that plays the exact same way. How easy it is to mix up your your bets.
Oh yeah, I can easily see that.
But I basically went all in. I mean, it was enough to either commit my stack or I went all in. And he
Right.
just folded. He said, "I believe you got it." He was like, he was floating. He said,
Oh, he was floating.
"Yeah." Well, I mean, like I said, it looked super suspicious to play it the exact same way. And then,
Yeah, that's kind of why I was like, at first, I was like, I don't think this should be a raise here, because I just don't think you have enough. You're gonna be way too strong, way too often. But once you said that, that dynamic kind of came into play. Obviously, a kind of a good raise once he calls your raise.
so he folds there. He doesn't show, but I show him. I said, "Look, I got the same hand back to back." I didn't show the first time a set of fours,
Right.
but it seemed super believable how the hand played. And that put me up a little bit, and I kind of chip and grind away. I get absolutely punished playing a hand out of the small blind that I shouldn't, with like 8-3 suited and a limped pot.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all made that mistake. I mean, like there's times I'll do the same thing, and I'm pretty tight. So yeah, I mean, we've all done that a couple times.
Flop is King 8-3 with 2 diamonds.
Flop 2 pair and got punished.
Oh yeah, here you go.
Ooh,
I
that's
bet
hurtful.
30. Folds to the guy, or sorry, one fold. The next guy jams it on me. It was like, I mean, not much more, like $70 total, maybe.
I mean, snap call.
Yeah, snap call. He has a flush draw, drills it immediately. I was like, God. I was like, but
I mean, I mean, in all honesty, you got it in good with 2 pair. So I mean, you know, it's kind of weird. It's gonna be the same like way of saying, you know, if you had one. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it was kind of fine the way it was played.
oh no, you're always loving getting it in that situation. But I always feel punished whenever I play a hand I shouldn't have played, and then I lose, and I'm like, wow. I mean, this is exactly what I deserve.
That is true. I mean, it definitely comes into play, and definitely, I feel the same way when that happens.
So here's when the session starts to heat up, though.
Okay.
So, well, it's not going to sound like it, but I'm card dead for a long time. I try hero calling with King High. Guess what? Not good. And then,
God damn.
so then the game is about to break. We're going to combine tables. I'm looking at my stack. I'm like, man, I'm like up like, I mean, not much, like $20, $40.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I could leave right now and just kind of call the session kind of a bit of a wash.
I was kind of thinking if you were up like $100 or $200, I think, and the table's going to break the way that we've kind of been running here and there. I mean, let's say, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst just to take that money and, you know, count it good. But yeah, I can understand like $20 or $40. You really feel like I mean, you kind of want to make some ground at some point.
So I look over at the other table, and it's a super deep table. Super deep. I'm like, wow. All right. I mean, you know, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to go over there. And I'm kind of straggling behind because I had a bunch of red chips in mine. I had to wrangle up my chips. Everyone else just ran off with their green chips and took all the good seats.
Okay.
So I, of course, get the one where that's like, you don't even know it's an open seat until you look at the little screen, you know?
Yeah.
The first hand I get, so I'm the last one over there. I sit down. I get pocket deuces. Guy opens to 18. Another guy calls. I just call.
100%, which I think is by far the best play here.
And I was in one of the blinds, actually. Yes, because I was out of position for this hand.
Okay.
One second. I might be steering you wrong right in here. I mean, hold on. This is the problem whenever all I type is just play the huge hand and don't type the seat position or really anything.
I can understand that.
No, I was in position this hand. Yeah, I was in position. The button just passed me because I just sat down. That's what it was.
Okay.
That's right. So I call. We see a flop. The flop is Jack 6 deuce rainbow.
Flop Jack 6 deuce. So you flop bottom set on a very dry board.
But here's the thing. The guy who only called leads out for 25.
So the field caller leads.
Yes. I call, the original raiser folds.
I usually don't consider this very strong.
You want to talk about having a good read on the situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, like, when you flop super strong, you're gonna flop to the pre-flop. You're gonna check to the pre-flop raiser. When you flop a hand that you think is good but needs protection, I think this is usually a hand like that.
I think I said 20. He bet 25. I'm looking through the notes.
Okay, so the field caller goes for 25, and you decide to...
I just call.
Okay, I like this.
The turn is another 6, giving me a boat, but making there's 2 hearts now. So I was like, I mean, very wishful thinking that he might be on a heart draw,
Right.
But at least that's something, on such a dry board. I'm kind of grasping at anything. I don't really know what's donking. And then he bets again, same bet, 25.
Okay.
And we're just over 400 effective here. What are you doing here?
I think at this point... God, so... I'm probably raising, but I'm not raising huge. I'll probably make it like... It's kind of weird because his bets are so small into this pot. But I have such a strong hand, I don't want to risk him getting away that easy. I'm probably making this 75.
You and I are kind of right on the same line of thought here. I make it 65.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, we're both in the same thought of we need to raise, we need to get more money in the pot, but we don't want to risk having this guy make a hero fold. Because I'm worried about, like, with that 6 pairing, I'm worried about a jack just making some type of hero fold.
So the river is an offsuit 10.
Okay. I mean, it's not... I mean, like, it doesn't really change much.
Correct. He leads again. He donks again for 100.
I mean, I think I might be jamming here.
Yeah, I jam. He snap calls. And he has 6-9 offsuit. And I have pocket deuces.
Oh, yeah.
So he trips. Yeah.
Very well played on that. It's a... I mean, once he leads again... from the way pre-flop plays, just not... I mean, he's either got... I mean, you're not... There's quad 6s that beat you, which, I mean, he could have pocket 6s. Not worried about quads. Jacks are going to 3-bet a good portion of the time. And pocket 10s make no sense whatsoever. So, I mean, yeah, you basically have the nuts here. So, I like the jam 100%.
It's funny. You're like, pockets or quads you're never worried about. I'm like, you're never worried about it up until you're super worried about it when you see it.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say I'm worried about it, but I'm distraught about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, I'm not worried about it up until I see quads, and I'm super concerned.
Super concerned what's going to happen to the stack in front of me.
So we're kind of going, and that hand. I won't say I was close to leaving, but I was definitely approaching the time when I kind of wanted to leave.
Okay.
I just doubled up now, so now I'm like, wow, now I'm double my starting stack. I'm still kind of playing, just I kind of made some nice hero calls, nothing that was too crazy,
Okay.
But then this is basically the huge noteworthy, or what do we call it? The hand of the session, we'll call it.
Okay.
So I am in the big blind with Queen 10 offsuit. A very good player is on my left now, who was I was out of position against on the other table, but now he's on my direct left. And he open limps. And I'm super suspicious about this. I was suspicious about it. He did it at a different hand, but of course I made note that he limped. I was like, I would be really important to see what he limps here with. Didn't take a mental note. So he open limps again. I'm like, weird.
And what do you have again?
Queen 10 offsuit.
Okay.
But a ton of people call like the $3.
Okay.
And it gets back to me, and I was like, wow, this would be super thin to think that I'm going to raise and get this through. Like, what's the point out of the big blind?
I kind of like the way you played this, because I think Queen 10 is a perfect, like, mark hand. Like, anything better, I think I raise pretty big here. But in anything worse is, like, definitely a check. So, and I mean, Queen 10, I mean, there's just... It doesn't play that way good against, like, if you raise and get called a whole lot. Because, I mean, I guess certain people could be playing Queen Jack that way, or maybe, like, King 10 or something like that, where you're just really dominated. I thought this was a pretty good check.
So I do check, and the flop is Ace King 3 Rainbow. I'm like, well, that's be kind of weird for someone to have an ace or a king here in this limp pot, right? Like other than like ace rag or something.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know. You might get a lot of like ace rag, like ace 4 offsuit limping. But I mean, I will say this: it'd be very hard for someone to have a strong ace or strong king here.
So the guy who opened limped now makes it 20. And everyone folds, then comes to the guy to my right, and he, also known as the small blind, he calls. And I just won that other hand. I'd won a few more hands. So I'm about 1,000 effective here, and they both cover me.
So, I'm sorry, I forgot on this, and this is going to be very important. Is this rainbow?
Yes.
Okay. I think I like peeling one off here.
I do peel one off. Because I was going to fold if the guy to my right didn't call. Because, I mean, what am I doing? I'm just kind of praying that something, So I call, and the turn is an offsuit deuce.
Not what you're looking for.
Definitely not what dreams are made of. He leads out for 20 again. The other guy folds. It's back on me. So now, what are you thinking here?
I mean, the problem being is that the bet is just so small to the pot now. Because, okay, so he probably bet, like, pot on the... So he leads in 20 into 80? Probably? That's what I got.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it was about 20 in the pot. He bets pot on the flop.
Yeah.
So...
Well, he really overbet the what's it called? The flop on the pot.
So
the pot on the flop.
I don't think it would have been by too much. We can just estimate it at 80 at this point. I don't think it'd been. I mean, he might have, but if there was a bunch of limps for 3, I can't imagine. I mean, it'd be pretty close. So I think you can do either. I think you could fold or call here. I mean, hell, I think you could fold, call, or raise here. Really. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think he has very many strong hands here.
So this was my thought going into it. I was like, well, I don't think my queen at 10 might be good here. He might be doing this with like pocket 7s, something like that. So I was like,
well, I mean, that's not queen. Pocket 7s are very good against queen 10.
No, 100%. But I was thinking I have my gutter plus my.
Oh, plus your.
Yes. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or he could be doing it with just like random suited connectors. Because this player was super aggressive. Was 3-betting. I was 3-betting the second most. He was out 3-betting me by quite a bit.
Yeah, okay. I can.
So I was
I think it's going to be. I mean, I think any player with like any. I think it'd be really tough for a player to double barrel like pocket 7s on an ace king board or something. But. I mean, once he gets folds, I mean, maybe on that turn. So I got you.
Yeah. So what do they say about curiosity and the cat? So I call. I'm super curious at this point.
Okay.
The river is an offsuit jack, giving me the nuts.
Okay.
And I'm out of position here. Are you donking into him, or are you checking it over, hoping to raise?
No, I'm donking here 100%.
So I actually check it over to him, thinking how sad I'll be if he checks it back now that I have the nuts. He then bets 55.
Okay, this is nice. I mean, like, I think it's such a risky check there. I mean, but him betting 55 is just, I mean, it's just the door to another universe here now. So, so I'm assuming you raise.
No, I folded. No, I
Yeah.
did raise. How much are you raising here? Because this is what I think
I mean, so this goes along with why I would have donked. Is we've already described, like, with the way this is played from pre-flop when from a limp, there's not that many strong hands here. So because the board was ace king.
I got it right here for you. It's on the notes. Ace king 3 rainbow.
So ace king 3 rainbow, and it was a deuce. So I mean, you're only really looking at like ace deuce ace 3 or king deuce king 3, and I mean they would have to be almost offsuit, or most likely people would raise. So I mean, I think most of the time this guy will have a kind of a shitty ace. So the same reason I would have donked in there, I don't think I'm going to raise that big. So my standard raise here would be probably 165. I might actually break it down to like 140 here.
So this is where a lot of the, like I always say, that your quote unquote table image and, you know, hero calling and bluffing and, you know, bluffing quite a bit, and, you know, he was there for that king high call. So I actually check raise massive here. I polarize it to 250.
That's another way to go. Okay.
He snap calls with ace jack.
So,
and here's something that's interesting before you get into it.
Okay.
I quickly turned over my hand because obviously the nuts. He showed his hand to somebody else, and then one of the players to my right was like, "What did he show? What did he show?" 'Cause I was like, "Oh, I didn't see it."
Mm-hmm.
And then the dealer told the player, they were like, "Oh, they want to see it because you showed that black." I told him, I said, "No, I'm good if you don't want to show it."
Yeah.
I told him, I said, "You don't have to show it for me."
I like that move by you. That's a class move right there. So I like that move by you.
But as you can tell, since I know the hand, the guy to my right not so forward. He wanted to know what he had, so he made him turn it over. That's how I found out that he had ace jack.
So here's the interesting, like, the way you played it is, this is definitely gonna get max value with his exact ace jack hand. Here's why I think it might be a good play regardless, because obviously if you hit just this random 2 pair, you're gonna get good value here the way you played it. But so we have to think of if he would call with like ace 10, ace 9, and stuff like that, because he's gonna have way more of those than he will have ace jacks. I mean, at this point, I think your whole idea of that you've been caught bluffing a couple times before, you might be, the table might read you as ultra aggressive, is probably and you've always been real good at this, at using your table image to your advantage. So I kind of like the way you played this. This is not the way I would have played it, but I think you playing it up to your image at the table is very, very beneficial. So I like the way you played it in this exact circumstance on there, even though I would play it differently. But given the scenario, I like how you played this.
Nice. And that ended up being a pretty good winning session for me for, what would it be, like just over 1,200.
Very nice. That's a super nice session.
But I do have one hand. I have one hand, my hand of the night at the other session that I played earlier in the week.
Okay.
I have pretty decent notes on this one, so let me run this one by you. I have ace king. I did not put the position, unfortunately. I 3-bet to 35 because somebody made it, I believe it was like 12 or something, another caller called.
Seems like you would have made it more here.
Yeah, he might have made it less.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I can't imagine you making it so small in a situation like this. But okay, ace king.
Ace king. Bet. 2 callers call. I see the king in the window. Let's go. Unfortunately, the flop is king, queen, jack, rainbow.
Ooh, this is kind of spooky here. Okay.
I just bet 55. I
Let
get
me see. So are we saying that you made it? So okay, you definitely made it 35 on
100
there.
for sure made it
So
35.
75, 7105. So 55, about half. I like this. Okay, I can get behind this.
I get one caller. The turn is the 5 of hearts.
It's a pretty good turn for you.
I bet 55 again.
Yeah, I can go with this. This is smaller than I would normally go, but this is a size that allows you to get value from worse and get some protection from some hands like Queen 10 or something like that.
The river is the deuce of spades, complete brick. He open jams for just under 300.
Okay, so it was 105 to the flop. Then you bet 55, 110 into 205. You bet the turn 55.
Yes.
Okay, so it's about a pot-sized bet. And what was the river again?
Deuce of spades, complete brick.
So you 3-bet. Unlike you're blocking ace 10 for the straight. So we're looking at a lot of kings, queen. So I don't think he ever has kings. I don't think he ever has queens. Jacks wouldn't necessarily be a 4-bet. So we're worried about something like king, queen, queen, jack for the most part, I think. God, this is a pretty close one. So you're getting 1 to 3. I'm trying to find hands that you really don't beat anything for value here, I don't think. So God, I don't know. I might be leaning towards a fold here. Because, I mean, here's my problem is things like Queen 10. The hands that I'm hoping that I'm beating that would be bluffs have so much showdown value, I don't know if they jam. Because I would think, like, Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10 would have some showdown value. So they might just check. So we're only looking at like a 10. I think I fold.
I snap called him and he had pocket sixes.
Wow, good call. I mean, I mean that is not a hand I would have thought he would have shown up with there.
Yeah,
So,
but it was definitely one of those ones like when logically thought through, probably should have folded. But in hindsight, but sometimes I like to make those calls before I could let my brain really keep up, you know?
Probably so. I mean, in that exact scenario, good job. Because, I mean, the more I thought about it, because first I thought it was a call, but the more I started thinking about it, the more I'm like, well, I don't know what. If I'm not beating anything for value, and his bluffs all seem to have some showdown value. This, like, outside of, like, 8-10, I was kind of running out of things.
So here was my thought in the exact moment, though.
Okay.
All jokes aside, he was the pre-flop raiser, so I was like, well, I know he's capable of bluffing. He's been bluffing,
Okay.
and the only thing I thought he could really have here that would play this way would be exactly king queen, and I block king queen. So I was like, well, if that's kind of the only thing I think he's doing this with, and I block it, I'm just snap calling it. Because I know he would do the same thing with just a bare 10, just being
Well, that was my problem. Is like the bare 10 makes a ton of sense, but I mean I don't know how many all his 10s that I would think in this 3-bet pot would have some showdown value. I mean, because the obvious 10s in this 3-bet pot would be 9-10, Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10, Ace 10. Mm-hmm. So Well, ace 10 has got a ton of showdown value. But, I mean, like king 10, queen 10, even jack 10 would have not much showdown. I mean, that would be the one where I'd be like, okay, he might be turning this into a bluff. But, I mean, that one would actually make more sense. But 9-10, obviously. So I was having a hard time coming up with bluffs that just did not have some showdown value. It was why I would probably lean towards a fold here. But that's
Yeah, he was like, I thought you'd think about it for longer. I was like, nope, got him.
Well, nice call. I don't think I make that call. It's hard, but it's easy to say that when you're not in the position there. But thinking about it, I think I probably fold. So good call there.
And then so I was up quite a bit, and then we're playing like 4 or 5 handed PLO. I play a hand I shouldn't have played. Flop bottom set. Guy flopped middle set. It turns quads. I double him up so that I only end up profiting like $200.
Oh, God.
Not great, but
Yeah.
still happy to win. I didn't
Yeah.
play very long. I mean, anytime you profit $200 and you played less than 2 hours, it's going to be a pretty good day.
Oh, yeah, that was the complete other session, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, meh. I mean, that was a bummer. Got literally exactly what I deserved. So I was like, well, it's probably time to go home. So I did, and then it was a pretty good week for me. Those 2 sessions. So.
That's really nice. That's a damn good week for you. This one of Cypress Poker that I just played was like, I mean, for the players who don't like PLO, it's going to be pretty rough. I was playing a round of each, but there is one fairly interesting PLO hand, and I think most of our listeners probably do play PLO at some point. Because I mean, I think the vast majority are from Texas, although we.
That's what I was saying.
Somehow
it just
get
seems
a
all
lot.
over the place.
Yeah, I mean, our listeners seem to be everywhere, but there are a lot from Texas. We'll say that. It's a.
It's definitely the #1 state, but it's not the biggest percentage of listeners.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go with that. It's a. So it's a straddle. I am in the small blind. It's a PLO hand, and it's a straddle of 6 from the button. I have ace, jack 10 single suited. So I'm like, well, this is a pretty damn strong hand here. It's
I think I have the notes for you right here. It's just if you want.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I thought because your phone died, I was like, well, I got the notes for you, just if that would help you.
Oh, okay, that does help me because that's I have ace, king 10 suited.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So what I end up doing is just making the call here. I'm like, well, if this all goes around, then I can take a look at the flop, see, and then nobody's going to put me on pocket aces if I happen to flop a set and some of these big hands. And if I pot here, it just inflates the pot if I don't hit. But if somebody raises and I can pot them, all of a sudden I can start to really narrow some people down. So I just make the call. It's call, and then somebody makes it 15. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then another person calls, and then it comes to me, obviously, I pot. So I think I pot it for 90. Some people might double check me on like the 15. It was a 15 and then 2 calls. I pot it for 90. The hijack who originally raised goes all in, and the cutoff goes all in. The one was for 130 and one was for 250. They're like, you want to run it twice? I'm like, we can go flop twice. I run it. I hit a set of aces on the flop, and I scoop both boards.
That's super nice.
So that was kind of nice. That's something I've tried to like put in my PLO game a little bit, is like little moves like this. Because if I raise it to 15, it really doesn't accomplish that much. I mean, it just inflates the pot. I mean, if I hit, that's great. I mean, in this exact scenario, it would not have mattered. But if my aces are good without the set, then all of a sudden 2 people up against 2 people, I'm a pretty big favorite or whatever. So I thought that ended up pretty well. So I was kind of up just off that one hand forever and a day. I then make just an absolute, just a shitty bluff. I mean, literally no reasoning for this bluff, really. But you might actually not mind it.
I'm always up for a good bluff. I'm always up for a good shitty bluff.
So, player raises, I call, or he definitely a raised. I call with ace nine of clubs.
I was about to say, I'm definitely going to need to know these cards.
Yeah. The flop comes king 4.
Any clubs?
I don't think so. So, there's him, another guy, and me. He bets fairly small, like probably about third pot or so. That player folds. I'm like, well, it's pretty hard to flop trips. And if he doesn't have trips here, I think maybe I can steal this.
Give me the flop one more time.
King 4.
Okay, he's the pre-flop raiser.
Correct.
So he raised, other guy calls, you call. King 4 on the flop. Okay.
And then he bets. I call. I decide I'm going to try to get one over if he shows some weakness. So I call 40. The turn is I know I'm out of position in this entire thing. Because so I check, he bets, I call. The turn was like a blank card, which, I mean, pretty much everything's a blank card on this board. Literally could be any card in the deck outside of maybe an ace.
I was just about to say, even an ace is kind of a blank. But
yeah. I think it gives me enough showdown value to stop this madness, but that's about it. I check, he checks the turn. The river comes, and I bet 125.
Yeah. I'm guessing he gets snapped off here, but what's it called? So you end up with ace high here.
No, he jams all in, literally instantly. And I fold. I mean, it was like $80 extra, and I just folded. I mean, can't imagine ace high is good here.
Yeah, that's tough. I've definitely done the same move and it had to work. I mean,
if he doesn't have a king, I feel like it's a pretty.
Definitely puts him in a spot.
This player's kind of a wild player. I probably did not need to bluff this exact player. I mean, I don't know. He's overbetting pot every single hand I was in. So, but
did he show the king?
He didn't show the king, but
wouldn't that be something?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he might not have. I mean, who knows? He might not have had it. I mean, he might have been just on the same line of thinking and had some type of pocket pair and been like, "Hey, it's kind of hard to have trips." So
I mean, but still good. I mean, if you have ace high and he has a pocket pair, he's still gonna win.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've done this move and it's, mixed results. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, I've had one where I was basically in the same situation where I check raised some guy on it was I don't even remember what I had, man. It's irrelevant, but it was basically that exact same situation. I check raised him. He called, but then tried to go all in.
Uh-huh.
And I told the guy next to me, I told him, this is not good. I told him, I have 0 outs right now. And he's trying to ship it all in, and they're giving him his chips back. And I was like, wow. I mean, literally not 1 out in the deck. So the turn's complete brick, and I just muck before you can even go all in.
Yeah.
But
Tyler's like, well, if I committed to this triple barrel, I'm committed to this triple barrel.
Yeah, because I remember it was a huge bet too. I check raise him on a paired board, and it was a 9-9-3 flop, and he bet super tiny. I made it 300 or something, and then he shipped 500 into it. He tried to make it 500 total, so 200 more.
Right.
But I had literally nothing. He had pocket queens.
Well,
yeah. But, like I said, I've had that experience with it before, and I've also had it work. I've had it work, yeah, like I said, mixed results. I don't mind it either way.
Yeah, it's I thought it was worth a shot there. Like you say, I think there's times it definitely works. So, it's hard to say if it's a bad bluff or just bad in that exact at that exact time. I kind of float around. I get back even. Then I get some decent pre-flop hands, get really bad flops. Kind of get whittled down, and then hit a PLO hand. It's not worth going over. I flop the nut flush draw. There's one kind of small bet, tons of calls. I just call. A lot of times I'll play my nut flush draw more aggressively in PLO, but in this exact scenario, there was a straight on the board. There was a possible straight, did not want to get re-raised, and I was like getting insane odds. So I'm like, well, no reason to push this. So turn the flush and then take down a pretty big pot. And that kind of saves that session. I had ace 10 raise, and then flop is 5, 6, 10. And a guy donks and I jam. He's only had like 120 behind or so. And he calls and he had 9, 10. So that was, I mean, those are hands that aren't all that interesting, so I didn't spend a lot of time analyzing them. Yours were by far the more interesting ones this podcast. But ended up in for 500, out for 930. So
You're loving that.
yeah, I definitely take that. I mean, especially on a round of each table where I'm not. I think I'm above average in PLO at this point at most games like this, but I would be like very much a underdog at an actual PLO table where most people play it. That's their main game. So, but still, considering that's not my main game, pretty good to take that win.
No, absolutely. I mean, I can't confirm or deny if you're above average or below. I mean, I feel like I play so poorly and so sporadically in PLO. I'm just like, not even sure if I play. I don't know if I have much of an opinion on your game.
That's fair.
It'd be like trying to comment on basketball whenever you just play hockey or something. So it's very hard for me to judge from looking on the outside in.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that. I'm not even certain I can say one way or the other.
But I guess on that note, this concludes the Texas Poker Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.